Moving on, the pandemic has made businesses realize the true value of collaboration between the CIO and various other functions in an enterprise. In a fireside chat, we bring to you an interesting dialogue between a CIO and a board member of India's largest two-wheeler manufacturer. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Vijay Sethi, CIO, Head HR and CSR at Hero MotoCorp, and also Mr. Vikram Kasbekar, Head Plant Operations, CTO, and a member of the Board of Directors at Hero MotoCorp. Hi viewers, it's great to have all of you watching this session because it's not every day that we have a member of the board in conversation with the CIO, and that too of the world's biggest two-wheeler manufacturer. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Mr. Vikram Kasbekar, Head Plant Operations and CTO, and member of the board, Hero MotoCorp. We also have with us Mr. Vijay Sethi, CIO, Head Human Resources, and Head Corporate Social Responsibility at Hero MotoCorp Limited. Let's hear it from Mr. Kasbekar as a board member. How is his relationship with the CIO, and how does he perceive IT in the company? We will also find out from Mr. Sethi how and where is he leveraging technology for the overall growth recovery plan of the world's largest two-wheeler manufacturer. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I'll start with you, Mr. Sethi. Can you share as to how COVID-19 scenario has played on you as head of IT, HR, and CSR at Hero MotoCorp?
I think COVID-19 is a situation that all of us are going through for the first time in our life, and I just wish, hope, pray that such a situation never comes again. But what we have done at Hero is try to use this particular situation more as an opportunity that is a challenge. So we started our initiative, started our planning almost 2 months before that. We set up a contingency plan just to get into specifics, say for example, CSR. So during this time, we know that there are a lot of people who face a lot of issues. So CSR played a huge role. So whether it was giving masks, whether it was giving meals, ration kits, with Vikram and his team, we also created a ventilator, though we didn't want to commercialize it or send it. We also produced sanitizers at all our locations. So this entire thing was done. And a very beautiful vehicle, what we call as first responder vehicle, which is kind of a two-wheeler ambulance. So we used that and we have manufactured that. As part of CSR, huge work has been done during this period. Coming to HR, I think this was one phase where we wanted to show a very different side of the organization, which is a caring side, compassionate side, a side which has a huge empathy. So right from the CEO himself and the entire leadership team, there's a huge focus on people that was given, communication among the people, to ensure the physical well-being of people, the mental well-being, which is very, very important. And also, as I said earlier, we wanted to use this as an opportunity. So we wanted to actually upskill the people. There's a huge amount of focus that we gave on e-learning. So during the first 3 months, almost 2.5 lakh courses were done by our employees, thanks to the entire push which was done by the entire leadership team. So there's a huge upskilling that was done for the entire organization. Entire team, really leadership team, led it from the front. And this all was supported by IT. So right from day one, we in fact announced our closure 3-4 days prior to the lockdown. So I think on 21st of March, we closed all our operations globally. So the entire teams had to do a work from home. So setting up the work from home, as a company, we never had a work from home policy earlier. So that was set up, ensuring that all the employees are supported during this work from home. Another thing that we did was that during this period, all the people who had to join in, whether as employees or as interns, we honored each and every commitment, which was actually again done digitally. So all the inductions were digitally, a lot of programs were done digitally, and a huge focus was given on cybersecurity. As we prepared ourselves for the unlockdown or starting operations, there's a huge amount of technology that was used at manufacturing locations. Vikram will share some of these. For example, we used social distancing, we used a artificial intelligence app. For all our employees, we used touchless attendance. For our sales, we went into e-shop, which is a touchless sales, and a lot of things. So IT was at the backbone of the entire thing.
Great.
Busy period. Sure, I think, to my mind, if I will just summarize, it's a huge opportunity that we use rather than using it as a challenge.
Sure, sir. Sure, definitely. Moving on to you, Mr. Kasbekar. Sir, we've read how Hero has been able to, achieve growth even during such times. It was really surprising to hear all those numbers. How did you achieve that?
Yeah, I think a lot of background work, what Vijay mentioned, was carried out. after we were the first to go in for a lockdown before even the government announced, because we were very much bothered about the well-being and welfare of our employees. And not just employees, it was the entire stakeholders. So if you take our dealers, our vendors, our stakeholders, each and everyone were communicated with. So the mantra was communication, communication, and communication, as our chairman and managing director put it. So that was the key success, I felt. And there was a lot of planning that went through it. Huge amount of planning we did during the shutdown period of how we are going to do, what safety measures we are going to follow. And you know very well that it's just not the well-being part of it, which is the prime most important for us. But we took this as an opportunity to really look at that how we can enhance our revenue. So our strategy was very, very clear. That we will all be supporting the revenue enhancing functions. So whether it was the sales, the parts business, or the global business. So all of us aligned, the entire organization aligned to support these three functions, and rest is history. And it's a wonderful problem for us to have today that we are lagging behind as far as the demand is concerned. So sales is definitely fantastic, and thanks to some of the rural pickup, we are doing extremely well.
That's a great problem to have, I'm sure. Lagging behind sales, not able to fulfill the demand. That's a great problem to have. Coming back to you, Mr. Sethi, sir, we go back so many years, and in so many conversations that we have had, one point I clearly remember is that you say, whenever there's a crisis situation, the IT department in Hero MotoCorp eventually spends more during such periods of crisis. Can you throw more light on this strategy? How does it help? And in this particular case of COVID-19 crisis, how did this strategy of spending more on technology help?
See, you're right, Yashvendra. For example, when 2008 crisis hit the world, we almost made our IT budget 5 times. So we went in for huge things. Coming back to the current situation, so the key focus, as I also said, that we wanted to use this particular thing as an opportunity, not a challenge. Moment you look at this entire thing as an opportunity, so you want to see as to how can we really grow our business, how can we ensure that our top line increases, bottom line increases, and also the quality of products improves and everything. So that's what we focused on. So for example, one of the things which Vikram was just talking about, focusing on the revenue side, which is domestic sales. So we went ahead and revamped our entire sales apps, went into something called eShop, as I said earlier, which is a touchless selling. Also did huge amount of things as far as the apps are concerned. Because this is a time, we as a company, we feel that this is a time when we can put in all our might. It's not just the IT team might, but might of the entire organization to ensure to take us to the next level. And we genuinely believe that some of the initiatives, it's not that we take all the initiatives, we prioritize our initiatives. Some of the initiatives do get dropped also. But we take those initiatives which are giving a huge value to the business. And once you take those initiatives which are giving value to the business, then cost is just a kind of input into that and not an output. So that's where it's not about what you spend, but it is about what you get out of those spends. And that's where reprioritize. We have done a huge amount of reprioritization at this time. Just to give an example of what we are doing with Vikram, for example. So he is also our head of R&D. So he and many other leadership team members have to, for example, visit our R&D in Jaipur to look at what is happening on various products and do their reviews and things like that. We have set up a system where sitting at his home, he can get the same experience that he used to get when he was there. So we put in that technology over the last 1 month. Similarly in sales, similarly in production, various other functions. So that's how we are working on this.
Great.
I think, Vijay, the cameras that you installed, I could read the barcode and the fine print on the barcode also. So it's that accurate and precise.
Correct.
Thanks for that.
Great. Right, Mr. Kasbekar, Hero started production very soon after lockdown restrictions were eased. Can you share some details on the precautions or measures that you've taken to ensure, safety and motivation of employees? Because I'm sure, employees would be really apprehensive going back to work, especially on a shop floor. So what all measures did you take to ensure their safety and their productivity?
What we did was, as I mentioned earlier, we did a lot of planning after the shutdown. So we were a task force of the leadership team, and our CEO was heading the task force, and each of us were assigned. So we made a complete safety manual as the do's, don'ts, and the precautions that need to be taken. So we took the benchmark as the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, as well as Ministry of Home Affairs. Whatever guidelines they had given, we followed it to the hilt. We kept all the records, all precautions, and we went a step ahead of that. And huge amount of communication strategy was used. So we made the manual, and just not mailed the manual or put them to the people, but actually we had webinars with our team members, including our operators who were available on the phone also, to actually educate them of the do's and don'ts. So the whole idea was to build a confidence level. The second factor was that we made full payment to all our employees during the shutdown. So that was having a very, very positive impact. So when we wanted them to act, they did it so wholeheartedly. And we have full support of the unions, the workers, the contract, you name it. All the employees are very much motivated and engaged to respond to our situation. So this was the basic spade work by which we started the whole activity. And a lot of synergy was there between all the functions of HR, plant operations to start. And once we started making extensive use of the Arogya Setu app. Safety was first. Anyone who is in orange, we asked them to stay home, we paid them. So no risk at all. And we allowed only those people who were fit and fine. And we had a very clear COVID management strategy in place. So the first thing was the safety, well-being of the people. We educated a lot of people on the prevention part of it. So a lot of good practices, immunity cannot be built overnight, but nevertheless, better to start now than never. And we started all these exercises. Kits were given to the people so that they could carry on this, even the homeopathic kits or certain nutritions. 100% people were given all those factors. So this actually built the confidence in the people that we care. And that's the reason the response was superb. We did maintain the social distancing, strict norms, sanitization, you name it. So that was, I think, the key factor that we were able to respond so well. Not only that, we took our supply chain partners also into confidence. So whatever good practices from them and us, we shared across each other. We supported each other in this entire situation.
Great, sir. No,
definitely. Vikram and his team also came up with the fantastic thing, what we call a sanitization chamber. So keeping into all the considerations of all the MOHFW and MHA, all those things. So this has been set up again. That's a huge thing. Immunity kits, as we spoke about. We also enhanced the insurance coverage. So there's a huge focus on people and communication during this period.
Being proactive really pays, sir. And
I think one of the key points which Vikram said, and that really held, was when he said that we paid all the employees. In fact, at that time when we did our lockdown on 21st of March, on that day we decided that instead of paying on the 7th of next month, which is the general pay date, we actually paid on 23rd itself. So before 25th overall lockdown, so that people may not be able to go to banks or wherever to withdraw money. So in fact, paid all the contractors, casuals right up front. So that really helped a lot.
Great
not only that, one more part was, anxiety. Because there's no doubt about it. Post this, they could hear lockdowns and so many people and the numbers rising. The media was actually, it was all in the national TV, the numbers rising, so on and so forth. So we created a cell in which we educated the people about everything. And with that, we trained about 400 of our trainers who in turn communicated to the entire workforce, which includes staff and operators both across the organization, as to the anxiety. And the people would talk to families also to remove their fear. So this went off very well in removing the anxiety of the people. All questions were answered, FAQs were there, and we responded to them very positively. That helped us a lot.
Right. Great moves there, sir, during the pandemic from your end. Mr. Sethi, I feel collaboration is the name of the game going forward. In these times when there is so much pressure on finances, what kind of a collaborative approach did you take with other key members within the enterprise?
Collaboration, in fact, is one of the key things in our mission statement as such. So our mission is create, collaborate, and inspire. Collaboration has been key thing, as Vikram also said rightly. So we started our planning way back. In fact, the entire leadership team, starting from the chairman himself, all of us now meet minimum three times a week. When we started in the month of March and April, we met daily. So daily there was almost 90 minutes to 2 hours meeting on a daily basis. Now we meet at least three times a week. That time it's much more. And all of us are on the same page on everything, and there's a huge amount of collaboration which is going on anything and everything.
Sure.
And it's that collaboration which is really making us rock at this time.
Right.
In fact, all the functions very proactively surrendered a lot of capex because all of us knew that cash is going to be king. So we supported the CFO in ensuring that we do not spend unless it's absolutely essential, except maybe some of the projects which are ongoing in our R&D. Everywhere else we cut down our expenditure.
Sure, sir. So, Mr. Kasbekar, as we can see from our conversation, you come across as a very tech-savvy leader. Can you share some interesting technology initiatives in manufacturing or R&D? You've mentioned a few. Anything else that comes to your mind? Some other initiatives?
Oh yes, we have started in a small way. We took up projects in batches. We have got a complete 5-year roadmap on the digitalization initiative. And thanks to Vijay and his team, they're supporting us a lot. So we started with small projects with virtual factories, virtual layouts, that kind of a thing. We are working on end-to-end enterprise management. So what we mean is right from the supply chain to the sales point, we are looking at that objectives, end-to-end enterprise level, digitally driven business. Number one. Second thing is the approach and methodology, as you mentioned. It's collaborate, align, create, and then governance. These things are important. Multiple projects were taken across. So we created this cockpits. We can remotely operate some of our utility sections. So people, experts sitting at one place can guide the novices at the remote plants. Then we took up various initiatives of MES. So we created an MES in one line. So we are taking in batches. We are taking it small and going forward. As far as our part center is concerned, that we have done end-to-end demand fulfillment. So what the it's on the pull system, absolutely. So huge amount of parts, about over 25,000 parts are there, and more are going to get added because now BS4 has gone and BS6 has come in. So naturally, we are going to use technology to overcome and satisfy our customers as well as generate revenue. So the part distributors have a minimum stock level kind of a thing. It's auto ordering. Based on that, we deliver to them. And similarly, this auto ordering comes to the supplier. So end to end, the whole thing is working on a pure pull system and working very well. So we have rolled out on a couple of parts distributors, and it's going to be all over. Our future is to same thing horizontally deploy to our plant operations as well. In addition to that, there's a lot of work that we have done on the traceability. So very important, particularly in today's time, any kind of a problem we are able to trace fully. A lot of IoT work has been carried out. AI, which I did mention, we used it during pandemic. This was a very interesting feature. You know, if people come close, then the specified 6 distance, it would alert you. So that's sort of a proactive way of going about it. So I would say it's huge amount of work that we are carrying about, and that's going to give us, I should say, a very big competitive advantage. So it's only even when we look at our predictive sales forecast, we are almost close to about 95% accuracy. So these are things which will slowly evolve. And I think over a period of time, this is going to give us a huge benefit, I must say.
Great, sir. Great. Mr. Sethi, sir, CIOs today are in a very, peculiar situation. While on the one hand, people say that they'll have to, further propel or accelerate digital transformation. Yet, on the other hand, they're facing IT budgets are being curtailed, right? They're facing pressures with respect to their budgets. How do you tackle this situation? Cost budget pressures on one hand, yet purchase or implement new solutions on the other.
The answer to my mind is very simple. If the CIO thinks that he or she is just doing it for IT, you will never be able to do it. You first have to wear a leadership hat. We first look at the position of the organization, the objectives of the organization, and then you prioritize your activities. So when you prioritize these activities, there will be a lot of IT activities which you want to do, but you should not be doing that here because of all the cost pressures or business pressure. So once you fall into that slot, and you know that from a business objectives perspective, these are the things which are really very important. You align with all your leadership colleagues. After that, then whether it is a budget or anything, that's all incident because all of you have aligned. But if you really get stuck to no, I have to do this, I have to upgrade this server just because it's 3 years old and I have to do it, it doesn't help anyone. And that's where the issues come. If you really work as a business leader, then you also understand the cash positions and everything of the organization very well. Then there's no issue.
Right, sir.
In fact, for our new plants, we actually did a lot of value engineering, value analysis, and saved costs. And I told Vijay that budget was fixed. So I said part of that will divert it to IT and enhance our digital initiatives.
Oh, that's great. But sir, Mr. Kasbekar, how has this pandemic reshaped your perception about technology? Because generally the perception is that the board doesn't accord that kind of value that should be accorded to the IT department. Has it changed because of the pandemic now?
Of course, it has. Of course, right from the beginning itself, we were convinced that this is something which is going to give us a huge competitive advantage, no doubt on that. And we were treating steadily and carefully. So our parts center, as you know, is one of its unique kind, totally web-based system. But looking at this entire aspect, our whole initiative on digitization has actually widened and deepened. And thanks to the pandemic, it has further enhanced it. If you look at it from the point of view of our own CIT now, CIT is our Center for Innovation and Technology. There, people were at home and access was given to them via their laptops to the desktop. So they could access the entire systems and work perfectly from home. There were challenges, of course, of the bandwidth and all that, which we also overcame. In addition to that, we were able to operate some of our key labs remotely, like engine testing and all that. We were able to operate remotely. Of course, there was one guy who could rig it, but the engineers who were working on testing the performance and all that could access the system remotely and do that. So there was a huge amount of such opportunities that we leveraged. So I think it's something which will go a long way. And we realized that working from home can also be equally effective. You save so much time on traveling, and we don't know going forward, how things would unfold. At the end of the day, productivity for everyone is vital and important. And I think this has given us some insights that we may really change our strategies of how we do business in the future.
Sure, sir. Coming back to you, Mr. Sethi, today I think technology is uniquely positioned, rather the IT department in an enterprise is uniquely positioned to scan the entire company for technology-enabled improvements, which could be revenue opportunities, productivity increases, and cost savings. As a technology leader, how are you driving all these changes across your company along with other members of the leadership team?
So, I come back to the same point, Yashvendra. There's nothing called a technology leader. All of us are leaders in the organization. So it's all about business. Technology is also for the business. You can't have technology for the sake of technology. And when each one of the biggest advantage that I've seen over the last at least 3, 4, 5 years is that all the people, especially in the leadership team and a lot of people below, everyone really appreciates the value that technology brings. Everyone is really technology savvy. So one doesn't have to get into a situation where one has to explain as to what benefits can IT bring. So it is not about pushing technology these days, it's about pull. So there's a huge amount of pull factor which has come in. People want to go ahead and really use technology. That fear that technology will really lead to loss of jobs is gone. So I think that's the biggest advantage. And that's where all of us, and it comes back to the earlier point which both you and Vikram said, which is about collaboration. The moment you collaborate with all the other leadership team members, all the initiatives go ahead and do. And it doesn't actually make any difference whether, say, for example, Vikram spoke about a particular project, say utility company. I really don't know whether I led it, Vikram led it, or someone in our team led it. I don't even know. It was done for the organization. Once you get into that you are doing those initiatives for the organization, where technology is also one component of that entire piece, then all the initiatives are and not either for IT or for any other function. And that's where that's a mindset change. And I'm really happy that at least in Hero, we don't have that mindset. So all of us are, that it's for the organization.
Sure, sir. Mr. Kasbekar, I can already see you both have a great camaraderie. I mean, you are completing each other's sentences, thought processes. But when it comes to your working relationship, it will be great to know what kind of a relationship or rapport do you share with your CIO, with Mr. Sethi, within the office. Yeah.
Fortunately for me, he is a 3-in-1 guy. So he is also the CHRO, he is the CIO, and he is also the CSR head. So I think that's a wonderful combination to have, and particularly very advantageous for us. So I've seen operations and HR, unless and until they go hand in glove, you can't meet success. So for a successful operation of the plants, this team has to be together with one objective. And it cannot be divided functions. So that's one positive thing that we have. Similarly, when we had this problem of the pandemic, people were just on the roads. So we synergized together and we said, we'll start with meals. And we started from day one. First day, we made 500 meals and distributed to people who were thrown out from their houses. And they were just on the roads. We gave them meals. I think that's one of the most noble cause. And I think over the period of time, when all these migrants were there, almost close to about 10,000 meals we were giving out of the CSR. So this is the kind of a synergy that we built up. And of course, when it comes to technology or IT, whatever we go to Vijay, I mean, it's the instant decisions we get. So it's a very fantastic combination. So I would say both on the HR front, from the IT front, and from the CSR front, we are able to drive huge amount of synergies. And of course, thanks to our mission, create, collaborate, and inspire. So we set an example for the people down the line to follow such kind of a collaborative approach.
Absolutely, I agree with you. So we've given, as of now, just to add, we've given almost 13 lakh meals for last 4 months.
Great.
And almost 30 lakh masks. Vikram's team had also created sanitizers, manufactured sanitizers, more than 35,000 liters of sanitizers we have distributed, and a lot of other things.
Wow. Great, sir. Now, finally, Mr. Sethi, going forward, what will be your expectations from the IT department and from your HR team?
So I think what has really happened over last 5 months is I've seen a very different kind of HR, a very different kind of IT, and a huge amount of collaboration even at the lowest levels across the organization. Maybe one of the reasons was that everyone was at home, everyone was kind of available at all times, less distracted. That could be the reasons, there could be other reasons. But the only expectation that I would have from everyone is that can we really keep up with this momentum of collaboration? That will really help the organization a lot. At the leadership team level, I think the huge collaboration that I've seen over years, and I know it's already going on. So over there, I think it's just a sustenance, but especially at the operational level, we really need to keep up with that momentum.
Great.
You want to add anything?
Finally, Mr. Kasbekar, what learnings have you gained from this pandemic that as a board member you're going to apply to your enterprise and make it future-proof?
I think Vijay did touch upon it earlier that we never anticipated or expected such kind of a pandemic. It was there about 100 years back. But nevertheless, I think that's a learning for us. We have 6 plants now, and practically a lot of flexibility is there amongst the plants. So business can carry on. Of course, maybe not 100%, but to a large extent, the business will go on.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's all we have time for. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we just saw and heard, any company that wants to get back on the growth track fast, it would have to leverage technology to the maximum, backed by total support from its top management, just like Hero MotoCorp. Thank you once again, Mr. Sethi and Mr. Kasbekar. Thank you, viewers, and keep watching ETCIO Spectrum.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.